So we basically already know what's happening with the new outfits, the reasons why that's happening, and it's basically because of censorship pressures in China, right? And that's basically created this whole new argument between whether or not you can like the new outfits or whether or not liking the new outfits equates to supporting Chinese censorship. And for anybody with like, I like to think that anybody with an ounce of deductive capability or who's not arguing facetiously would realize that liking the new outfits is not the same as supporting censorship in China or just censorship in general. But for people who are like online, it's really easy to mistake these two things as being one part of a collective whole, right? You can like the new outfits without supporting censorship in China. That's two separate issues. But apparently, some people don't realize this. Now, I will say that personally, I have a more nuanced take on this. I don't think the censorship is good, but at the same time, knowing what I know about MiHoYo and like I've talked in the past about sexualization of characters, um, what we know is that MiHoYo is basically run by degenerate weebs, just like me. I'm part of that group, I will admit. But that's not the same thing as saying I want all the female characters to have like high heels, like boob windows, and the long hair. I do want more variety in depictions of characters, and I think the new outfits are actually more in line with what I'm thinking. That's not to say that I don't want like sexy characters and characters that look like Shinhe, but I do want a more even distribution of overtly sexualized characters and characters who are not. And I think had they just given these new outfits to all the players, both in China and outside of China, as alternative outfits, I think that would have been the best solution because that would not have been a form of censorship. That would have just been giving us an alternative option. Unfortunately, like knowing what we know about MiHoYo again, um, they are run by degenerate weebs. And in my opinion, if it weren't for these censorship pressures, I don't think these new outfits would have come into existence. Like the possibility of these new outfits being created had it not been for these censorship pressures is frankly almost nil to zero. Like let's just be honest. If it weren't for like the CCP or whatever government bureau is breathing down their necks, we wouldn't have gotten these new outfits. And now I will say that personally, I like Rosario's new outfit a lot. If it looked like this in game, I would not be upset at all. I would be pretty happy. But I do also want the old outfit. And as for Amber's, I can't tell the difference. Jeans, her boobs are obviously less big. They're just covered. And Mona's looks dumb to me. But these are just my personal opinion. I don't whether or not I like or dislike these outfits is not indicative of whether I support censorship. Even if I do think that without this censorship pressure, these new outfits would not have come into being. That does not mean I support censorship because censorship distorts and basically recreates another reality that is different from what the creator was intentionally originally intending. So that's my personal take on why I don't support censorship. Obviously, there are forms of censorship that I am more agreeable with, like censorship of pedophilia, censorship of violence against people, like advocating violence against other people. I do think these things should probably be censored, and honestly, we already see that pretty much everywhere. It's not accepted on Twitter, at least in theory. It's not accepted on Reddit. It's not accepted on Discord, at least in theory, or on Facebook, again, in theory. There are like there are forms of censorship everywhere, and that is just the world we live in. And I don't want that form of censorship being put into my entertainment. I think there is like this idealistic process of thought that yeah, we live in these censored spaces, but at least in my entertainment, it shouldn't be put into my entertainment, right? This is where I am in my safe space. I think this is how a lot of people think about it, that we are in this safe space when we're being entertained, that we are enjoying a form of activity that makes us happy, and that it shouldn't be put into these spaces. But let's be real, even if we're not talking about Genshin Impact, like when I was playing Tales of Berseria all like how many years ago, I was actually playing the censored version of Tales of Berseria. I remember the first time, like when I think it was your sister that got killed. It was a censored version of that event. Apparently, in the original Japanese version, she was actually just stabbed, but in the censored English version, there was just like this weird Evangelion-esque picture of her in red I think it was a red background, and that was just supposed to represent how she died. People who play Tales of Berseria probably know what I'm talking about. I don't remember the story too well. I'm sorry. But that's basically what happened. I did not know that it was censored, and I felt kind of cheated when I found out years later that the original Japanese version was not like that. So I just don't want to feel that kind of being cheated, so to speak. And I think that's a lot of what people care about when it comes to censorship, because it's almost a form of lying. And despite what people say, lying is still seen as like looked down upon. So that's basically my take on the censorship issue. It's not that I don't like the new outfits. It's not that I don't like the new outfits. It's just that the way in which it was produced is not the most ideal. Is not the most ideal way. Let's say that. And I do like some of the new outfits. And I don't think if it wasn't for the censorship issues, then we probably would not have seen these new outfits to begin with. But even though that may be the case, I would still prefer no censorship compared to having these outfits. Okay, so that's just my take. You may feel free to agree or disagree. That's up to you. Anyways, please like and subscribe and do whatever it is you do on YouTube. And if you didn't like what my content, or if you're still here, I don't know why you would, but if you didn't for some reason, I hope you enjoy whatever it is you're doing next. See you guys later.